and today we are going to be discussing Loki, the series on Disney Plus. So this series, oh my goodness. I feel like, well, going into it, I didn't know that it was going to be like an actual series where it wasn't going to just be like WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where it was just one season, a couple of episodes. So I'm excited to see what next season brings about. But this series, like I feel the other two, started off pretty slow. It took a while to get into like the world of where these characters were at and what was going on. And I feel like because these are more standalones, they take more time, and obviously there's a lot more explanation to explain what is going on, where it fits in the timeline, what exactly happened. It's not just like a Marvel movie where it's like one happens after the other, or a quick little explanation can explain kind of where we're at. I think, except for I mentioned before Black Widow, I needed more explanation in regards to that. But every other Marvel movie, it was pretty clear where we were at in the timeline, or we could probably figure it out. Though these, it's not that you didn't know exactly where you were at, it's more sort of the backstory and the world building. And then a little bit of the explanation. But I feel like once we entered this world, we really need this world to be explained to us. So we're gonna have spoilers in this review. I feel like I should always say that now because I just start talking and then you guys are spoiled. So I'm sorry about that. But we're gonna get into it now. I feel like the first episode again was a little slow, and it definitely took its time to explain why Loki was now in this time. What is it called? I lost it. I just had it. In this other kind of place where the timekeepers maintain the balance of time, so therefore it doesn't go off track. And it was a little confusing just because like everything with what happened in Endgame and them going back in time, and they're like, oh, that was supposed to happen, and I was just like, then why isn't okay? Where did you people come from? It felt like they had just been created because of what had happened in Endgame, and that would have made more sense. Or after the fact, but apparently these people have been around for a while, and if it's not in your cards, if it's not in your fate, then it's not gonna happen. They're not gonna let you continue on, and they'll literally dissect you from time, and either they'll do a trial, and then they'll either imprison you or prune you, which is basically killing you, but not killing you, and we'll get into that. So yeah, and I don't know how exactly you can just pluck someone from their world. I guess they erase everyone else's memory and of them, and then they put them there in that prison, and they're put on trial, and if you're guilty, then you're guilty. And but like, why were they created then? I don't understand. I understand the whole Loki thing. That made sense. Okay, he was a result of what the Avengers did. It didn't go according to plan, and this happened. That makes sense. If stuff like that happens where it's just like some sort of superhero thing went wrong and therefore we need to fix it, I understand that. But just because they do something to alter the time, like what exactly is their big event to alter the timeline? Like, don't people make drastic decisions like every single day? Like, what is your timeline that it has to be perfect, and these are the rules of what is okay to happen? That was something that I was very curious about, and I felt they should have explained more. I think just because it's Marvel, they kind of got away with the fact, well, that's just what was supposed to happen. And just like, okay, but what? um, but I would have liked for that to at least have made a little bit more sense. I mean, it added to that comedic effect, but it still was just kind of like, but then this, how, what, okay. So that's where we're at. I think that the character of Mobius was beautifully cast. He was funny and brilliant, and I have never seen that actor. The names are slipping me. um, be so serious like that, and I think that was really appreciated. And to see him in a Marvel movie like that, it just was like, it was beautiful. Um, and then, yeah, just great characters all around for Marvel and their series. The casting is beautiful, um, and it's not at all who you think could fit that role if you would think about it, but it works. And then Loki, the first couple of seconds of the movie and just being Loki was amazing. Just seeing his evolution throughout the first episode, the second episode, and then so on, and his growth that you never thought he was going to go from point A to point B. You always thought he was going to be static Loki, and you loved him, but it's like you kind of never imagined him growing in that way. And I think that was really interesting to see, to be able to just pinpoint those moments of his realization of him just changing as a person. And I was like, I couldn't really pinpoint those in the Marvel movies, and I don't think when he was with Thor or wherever we were at, there wasn't an instance where that happened to that profound effect for him. And I kind of wonder why. I don't know if it's because of the fact that he falls for this girl, or because he just realizes all this stuff, or he just is able to see things in a different light because they're kind of all hitting him in the face, whereas before he can just kind of forget about it and move on because there's a million other things going on that are things that he wants to do. But I would think his relationship with his brother, because it's very clear that he loves Thor, would have at least provoked that a little bit more. I mean, obviously he dies for Thor, but it's like there was much more humanity I felt in this series, and it happened very quickly, and it was really sweet to watch. The love interest in this series, and we meet her, I would say fairly quickly. It happens to be another version of Loki, which I wish that they had like talked about like the other like dimensions or worlds or timelines where these people exist in different ways a little bit more, just because felt like it was just kind of like, oh, it's another version of you, or it's when they first introduced it, this variant, I that's what they're called, variants, the people that they go and pluck out of their reality and imprison and die, and then they die. So she, what was I going with this? They made it seem like she was just Loki, um, somewhere in the timeline that made a mistake, and they plucked that person from wherever that was, and they got away. So I thought I was gonna see just another Loki, and whatever he had done and transformed into had affected him, and he was now doing whatever, you know. Um, but to see female Loki, it was like, okay. I mean, I can get on this bandwagon. Like I can I like this, you know. Uh, I just wish that it would have been explained a little bit more. But once it was there, it was like, okay, this exists. She exists. Okay. Um, and then I guess people were kind of, well, the concept of him liking himself was a little strange and a little difficult to grasp. But at the same time, it's not him. And she, from the very first scene that we see her, makes it very, very clear that she is this very independent, on her own, doing her own thing, individual. She doesn't want to be defined as a Loki, even though she grew up pretty much the same as him up to a certain point. Um, and there were some differences, but I think just her expressing, no, this is who I am, even changing her name, it clearly defines her as a different person, which was nice. And I saw this meme on Facebook where it was Loki and then female Loki, which she goes by a different name, obviously. Uh, Sylvie. I don't know why it was hard. Okay. Anyway, and then Thor, and then it has um, obviously Natalie Portman's Thor in the new movie that's coming out, and it's then their dad basically saying Loki and Thor, the gods of self love, and I'm just like, that basically defines it. Um, so I kind of was okay with it at first, and then I became really okay with it once I saw their dynamic and how cute they were together. And I was just like, these are two different people, that have similar backgrounds and the same powers, but they're two different people. And that became very apparent at the end when she chose her revenge over him, and he had clearly grown as an individual and was choosing her and instead of himself. And it really hurt. It was a real stab in the heart to see that he had grown so much, and he finally was making the right choice, and was this was his moment, and he was stabbed in the back. So I would love to see in the new season Sylvie's growth a little bit more, because I feel like became kind of she was kind of put in Loki's position where she kind of was stuck, and she wasn't giving in to her emotions, her feelings for this other person and what was going on, and realizing it. So in that way, she was very static. But we find out very quickly uh, that through Sylvie's powers and everything, at first Loki is like envious of her, and like he wants to be the more powerful one and everything. And once he starts like realizing things and falling for her, it like the progression, like I said, is beautiful. Um, but through her powers, because they have slightly different abilities, uh, she is able to kind of open up the mind and enter the mind and like kind of compel them. But then she picks certain memories that are already there, and she has discovered that the people who run the TVA, the Timekeepers organization thing, that they're just like them. They're variants that were plucked out of reality for whatever reason, and they were used to do these people's bidding. And she quickly realizes how sad this is. And once she goes into your mind, for those who work there, and plucks that out of them and is able to revive this memory in their mind, then they become very confused and they want answers. And that sparks this whole like rebellion within the TVA, and them wanting to find out what is really going on. And that leads to all the turn of events that end up happening when we discover the timekeepers aren't the real, like, they aren't real, they're robots. And then there's this one judge, lady, timekeeper person who just feels like she wants to fulfill a purpose, and she doesn't believe that she was just chosen out of nothing and plucked from her reality to do nothing. So she's looking for that kind of reassurance that she, I guess, self-worth, that she is worth something, and something was meant to happen with her, instead of like everything was taken from her. And everyone is trying to like tell her otherwise, but she's clearly like the villain in this, in that she kind of stands in people's way and like wants to stop them because she doesn't believe what they're saying, or doesn't want to believe everything that they're saying, and she wants to figure things out for herself in her own way and justify it in her own way. And then we find out when someone is pruned, they actually go to this one like other place where all these people go and they can die via this giant cloud thing. But then once Loki and Sylvie are there, they quickly discover that they can manipulate this thing and compel it using Sylvie's kind of abilities that Loki now is able to harness because he technically has the same powers. And they go to this He-Man looking castle and they encounter this all-powerful being who his story was a little weird. Basically he was just this very smart guy who created something that allowed him to visit other timelines and kind of other realities and worlds, and they were living in peace, and then one or two of them got greedy, and then they wanted to kind of control, like, it's the human emotion kind of thing where it's like they want power and so therefore they want to conquer, and it's like, did you not expect this to happen? Because people, their minds can go crazy when they are have infinite power in front of them. Haven't we heard this before in a movie? So it was that whole kind of thing, and then basically he decided to bring peace to that, and he said that he had done it so for a very long time already and his time was running out, though it doesn't make sense because he was offering the position to Loki and Sylvie. Then but if it's like he ran out of time, how would they be able to keep the peace and control that? I don't understand, like, because you don't know anymore, you only knew up to a certain point, and I don't understand how you possessed this magical smartness to be able to visit other realities, and like, were you part of something? Like, I don't know, you were just a really smart guy. It's like, where were you this whole entire time, and who are you? And so basically he gives them a choice, which is like take over, even though like taking over wouldn't do anything. They would just have to figure it out, or kill him and basically open up the door for all his other selves to be able to take over. Which is like, if you're stepping down, isn't that door already kind of open? They didn't explain that too much for what I got from it. And so then Sylvie wants her revenge. Uh, her and Loki finally have a kiss, and she pushes him through a door that leads him to the TVA and kills the guy. Or we assume she kills the guy. And then Loki goes and he tries to find basically his new friends, and he's telling them what's going on, and a new reality has kind of morphed and been brought about. And now this guy has statues everywhere, but we don't know why he has statues everywhere. Apparently he's in control now, but it's like, is he dead or is this the other one? And if that's the case, what happened over there? What has Sylvie seen in the other dimension world kind of thing? So yeah, there's a lot going on. It's really good. It just, I have a lot of questions. But I feel like there's time to be able to have those questions answered. And I feel like overall they still did it in a really brilliant way where I really, really loved it. I'm trying to think of what else I have to say. I feel like there was a lot of people that were against Loki and Mobius because they didn't believe them. Loki at first, Mobius didn't believe him at first, but he took a chance on him because he saw something in him, and then they became friends, and they were at odds at times, but somehow they always came together. There were other characters who it was the same way. That one TVA officer, she was brilliant. And when they entered the other world, where when they were pruned or they died, they went into seeing all the different Lokis. That was great. That was funny. The alligator Loki, love. And just seeing how Loki was like represented in all these different worlds and all these different variations is really cool. I would have liked to see that with more characters, but since it is Loki series, it's Loki series. When he was pruned, when he was telling Sylvie his feelings before, um, I can't really pinpoint the place now that I've talked about all this. Basically, he was in a battle with that one uh, TVA lawyer lady, and he lost. That's how he ended up in the other place. And he was telling her her feelings, and then he was killed by her. Uh, what was I getting at? um, I just think that was a beautiful moment between them, and I had a point here and I lost it. Yeah. Anyway, um, I just feel that there's a lot more growth to be seen, and I'm really excited. So yeah, I think that's everything. But yeah, just seeing Loki grow as an individual and seeing him forming bonds and relationships with these individuals, and then seeing how he affects others as he's growing, and his relationship with Sylvie and how that grew, and how he was originally recruited to capture her, and then he ends up falling in love with her. I hope he's in love with her. It seems like he's in love with her. And doing everything he can to protect her, and then seeing the TVA and seeing how it worked and how it didn't work, and all their cool gadgets and gizmos that came out of nowhere, and I don't know where they came from, but they're cool. And just seeing all these new characters and just getting to enter a new world in the Marvel world, I think is just really great and really interesting. And I'm excited to see what comes about next season. And I really hope that we see more in Sylvie's growth, get some more scenes with Mobius, and hope this lawyer lady figures out what's going on. If not, I feel she's gonna die. And just, yeah, see what happens in this crazy new world that has been created and now Loki is a part of. And I'm so excited. And I didn't mention this before, but I am actually just really happy about the series. I was really happy when it came out, when I heard it was coming out, because I knew that he was alive somewhere after that one thing with the Tesseract, and I was like, he's coming back. Loki's coming back. And Loki is back, and the series is beautiful. So thank you all for watching. And if there is any thoughts that I left out, I will have to talk about in my review for next season, because it didn't happen. If not, it's pretty self explanatory. I think I talked about pretty much everything, and you watch the series, you'll get it. Alright, okay, bye. Thank you so much.